All right, we are live. How's everyone doing today?
Doing good.
Yep, thanks for tuning into the podcast. So for today, I'm talking with Nick Terranova. So a lot of you have seen Nick Terranova on my social media channel. We recorded Body and Soul, and we also recorded Moon Dance. Both were excellent jobs, and I think he really is a fantastic singer. There's not really so much praise I can give him because his phrasing for a lot of stuff is very on point. I actually was meeting with the USF jazz professor today. He actually looks over a lot of my stuff and is kind of like a music editor for the new show I'm kind of starting here. And he always raves about Nick's phrasing on a lot of phrases, especially in A Sentimental Mood, which is coming out this weekend if you're tuning in. So be ready to check out that arrangement. But why don't I go ahead and turn over to Nick here. So Nick, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in music? How did this all happen for you?
Well, I had early piano training, and it was sporadic in nature because, I didn't really apply myself, but I wanted to get away from home so badly.
So early piano training, about what age?
Anywhere from 6 till about 14.
Okay.
And then I quit for a while, and that was a downfall for me. But when I went to California to enter into the university system, which was at Santa Barbara, you had to declare an emphasis. You just can't be a music major. So you could be music historian, conducting. I thought I would be a piano major. Unknowingly, I auditioned with the worst thing you can audition with, and that was the Moonlight Sonata.
Oh, which movement?
I played the first and second. They wanted the third.
Of course they want the third.
They want the third, which is the killer one, right? And then I couldn't do it, so they said, well, you don't meet our requirements. You better declare it. So I says, well, I can sing. Well, what can you sing? Well, I can sing one operatic aria. So it was actually a baritone aria, and that's how I started singing. Do
you remember the operatic aria?
Let's see. It was from Don Giovanni, I think. No.
Okay.
I don't, because it was. First of all, I'm a tenor, not a baritone, but I sang.
Right.
They kept me anyway as a music major, and from there I went to L.A. Then I came back to New York, and I started auditioning, and I did a lot of what they call club work, but showcases where you invite people, you invite casting people. So I'm familiar with the music that you reintroduced me to, which is, the standards from the 40s and 50s and all that. But then I went into opera.
Okay.
So
what'd you do in LA? Was that just music school in Santa Barbara? You said
I actually dropped out.
That's okay.
I dropped out, and I went back and became a licensed psychotherapist, in New York. But music, the music major thing, you had to do these juries, as you well know. Yes. Every year you have to show them, different types of genre. And so that wasn't for me at the time. I don't think I had the discipline. But in LA, I did a lot of auditioning, and New York, the same thing. And I gravitated to opera. And opera, I think, is a really good voice-building tool. It teaches you breath control. You have to sing in foreign languages. What it lacks, I think, is a real connection.
Okay.
Because you're singing in another language. It's not your first language.
Oh, fair enough. So right? Connection to the words.
Well, yeah, connection to the lyrics, because the lyrics evoke memory. And if I'm singing in Italian, I have to translate the Italian into English and then have a memory. So It's a little bit slower. So I'm really glad to do this. Oh, I wanted to tell you too, my opera teacher just turned 100.
Wow, yeah, I think you were telling me that, yeah.
Mario Laurenti, he reintroduced me to opera about 28 years ago. And I sent him the video of
Body and Soul.
Body and Soul, yeah. And, he didn't get back to me, so I thought, okay, he doesn't like that I'm doing it. But he called me about a week ago. He just loved it.
Oh, man, I'm so
nice.
glad.
It was really nice.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come up to me, like a lot of friends, and be like, "Listen, like I know you've been recording and stuff, but like Body and Soul, like that was something else." And I think a lot of people,
we really meshed.
I think we really got that one, So for those who don't know, I know he mentioned it earlier, but Nick is actually a doctor and he's a psychotherapist. He's actually my therapist, and this is actually how we met.
We're not supposed to talk about that.
Oh, oops. But anyways, he has his own clinical practice and everything like that. But sorry about that.
That's all right. You're an open book. That's great. No, there's some kind of thing. I don't even know if it's even still put into practice. You're not supposed to get into a dual relationship, and this would be considered that. So maybe they'll make me take a workshop. I don't know.
All right. So, well, that's a cool story. I actually didn't know that I knew you were in New York, but I didn't know you had done LA first and then went to New York. Yeah. So talk to me about your time in New York. So you said you did a couple of like showcases and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I'm from New York. I'm from New Jersey originally, right over the George Washington Bridge. My mother was an opera singer, only she never really went places with it. So, she was happy that I switched over to voice, and I got into the Italian Actors Union because I sung at a feast, the St. Gennaro feast in Little Italy. And from there I went into the Screen Actors Guild, and then they give you bit parts, and some of those bit parts were like singing roles maybe.
Right.
But nothing really much. But, you audition, you get into Actors Equity, so you don't do cattle calls, and cattle calls are anybody can audition. And back then the hot show to audition for was Grease.
Oh, well, that makes sense. It was one of the more like famous movies, especially.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Like, I was talking to a theater major yesterday, and they were doing like Legally Blonde. So sometimes like the movie, like if a movie breaks and it's like happens to be a musical, then it's like performed over and over and over.
Well, this
again.
is before the movie came out.
Oh,
it was first on Broadway. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I'm glad I shifted gears professionally and went into psychotherapy, and psychology, because, you have to make a living. Everybody tells you, and it's, the music. But as you are too, my passion is music, and so is yours.
Yes. Yeah. Do my best.
I know. I hope you do.
So, talk to me about how you said you feel like music is therapy the other day when we were on the phone, something that you were telling me about. And I felt like I really related to that personally, because for me, the ultimate bottom line of a good musical piece is does it do emotional work for the listener when they listen to it?
And for the performer. And for the
performer. For everybody involved.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you have a really good performance, is when everyone walks away and it's almost like they felt like different when they leave the room, like something just happened.
Yes.
And that's really like where the fascination of like music comes to me, is like, are you doing real emotional work? And I thought that was a really interesting point when you brought up talking about like how music is therapy for you. So can you talk more about that?
Yeah, well, instrumentalists, when they sit down to an instrument and play, like, say, a Chopin piece, they're feeling something. They may not exactly be feeling what the composer was feeling when he composed it, but they're feeling something. It's triggering a memory in their lives. When I sing something, that's even more visceral, because you're singing lyrics. And even with classical music, I was actually, because I was on my way to my accountant today, I thought, let me get back to my operatic roots while I'm on Dale Mabry, and I was listening to the highlights from Madame Butterfly. I played the male role in that, and it brought me right back to that and how I got so involved in that role. It was hard to get out of it. So with songs like, let's say Body and Soul, that's a song, it's a lover's plea to someone that isn't really interested in a romantic relationship.
Right.
But he's spent. He's just so...
I'm all for you, body and soul.
Oh, he's enamored. and I love that one line where it says, my life a wreck you're making. And I get chills just even saying it. So when I first heard that, thank God for YouTube. because you can find anything on YouTube. So I found Tony Bennett recording as a duet with Amy Winehouse, who passed away. They did such a beautiful job. And the lyrics to that song, see, a song I think has to either grab you with the melody and or the lyrics. This song grabbed me with both.
Fair.
I first heard In a Sentimental Mood, because I'm a movie buff, on a movie starring Jennifer Lopez called Angel Eyes.
Really? It's on Angel Eyes?
Yeah.
I did not know it was on Angel Eyes.
Yeah, you know the male lead, because he went into what we call a dissociative state because he felt responsible for the car accident that killed his wife and little baby boy, and he was a jazz trumpet player. So they're on a date.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez and whatever his name was are on a date, and they just walk in. He wants to go into this jazz club where he used to play, only he didn't know it. And while they're walking in, this muted trumpet is playing In a Sentimental Mood.
That's really cool.
And the haunting melody of that song just grabbed me. I didn't even know it was a song that you could sing. I didn't even know it had lyrics.
Oh, yeah. I actually don't know who wrote the lyrics, but I know Duke Ellington wrote it. I was actually looking up the history of it. It was actually kind of improvised, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, something about the chords, because when you look at the chords of In a Sentimental Mood, the minor with the major 7 is such a strange chord. It's actually like, you know, something that I've been talking with a couple of musicians on how do I want to voice this on the record and stuff like that, because it's a very awkward chord, right? You have a minor triad with this major 7.
That's what makes it so haunting. So
yeah.
I approached it like it was dreamlike, and I thought, okay, this person is not talking about something happening to him. He's fantasizing or dreaming about his lover that is gone now. And he's talking about that last night that they were together, or prior nights before it ended. And what made it difficult, because I listened to Ella Fitzgerald, and her control was unbelievable. You know, it's a 7-note melody. In a sentimental mood. 6-note melody. But even so, every note has to be very smooth. It has to blend into the next note. It can't be like usually a high note you can kind of sing out, and you get your it helps you with the support. This doesn't help you with the support. It has to be done very, very soft and very smooth. And it's a lot harder than it sounds.
Oh, I couldn't imagine, you know. Yeah. So for the record, just a little funny story. The way we've been doing this kind of during COVID, we're both vaccinated now, so that's why we're not wearing masks. But
Yes.
The way we did this during COVID was I would be in my home studio and I would have to essentially create the whole arrangement, then bring it over here or email it to him, have him listen, right? And then he would listen to it and then come back to me. And one of the ways that I made sure that I could keep track, so he could hear how the song goes over the chord changes, is that I would actually sing it, right? And let me tell you, singing In a Sentimental Mood was rough.
It was challenging.
Oh my goodness! It has all these like jumps and these awkward transitions, and it's very hard, at least for me. I mean, I'm not a vocalist, but I could already tell this was going to be insanely hard to mesh together. So the fact that I think the recording came out like how it did, and you've already heard like the rough versions of it. You know, we're finishing up the final mix and the master today, actually, in the video and everything. But talk to me about how you even approached a song like that.
Okay, the same way that I approached, because I got into this art song thing for a while. I wanted to prove to myself that I was better than I was when I was in college, because they were big on doing classical art songs, Schubert, Brahms, Schumann, and how I used to approach an art song is, because they're in German or French, Gabriel Fauré, there's a great song called After a Dream by Gabrielle Fauré, which is a lot like In a Sentimental Mood. Jazz and classical music are very similar. So what I would do it as an exercise. I would do the different vowels that appear in the lyric. So, oh, and what happens, it gets in your voice, and then you just put the words to it, and it's already there. And that's how I used to approach classical art songs.
Wow, okay. That's a good approach. I mean, I know vowels are incredibly important, and I know like a lot of vocal technique is like, okay, sing, 1, 6, 3, 5, or whatever the interval is, right? Mm-hmm. But using vowels, right? So you will actually take a song and approach it using the whole vowel. Yeah. That's very fascinating.
And songs that are very legato, which are, smooth songs like that one. Anyway, yeah, that's how I do it. I like to make an exercise out of it first.
Cool. So where does the phrasing come in? Because that's, I think, was the harder part of this song. Because, I mean, you're sitting in a sentimental mood, and then you almost carry the phrase of mood to I can see the stars. But it almost doesn't seem natural to be able to do that kind of all in one breath, or even a little sneak breath. Mm-hmm. But at the same point in time, it also felt when I listened to the recording that like you could have said it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And just spoken it, and it would have came off just as impactful. So talk to me kind of how like your approach to is when you phrase something, or when you're trying to find a way to connect melody and notes and lyrics all together into, what it is, like a beautiful sung melody.
Well, there's a few processes going on, I think, and one of them is you always want to sing the rounder vowels. Now, oo is a difficult vowel to sing on a high note for men. Women have an easier time with that. But the other process is you want to communicate. You want to communicate the important words, and in that line, sentimental, which are 4 vowels, sentimental. That's an important word. Mood is the really important word, because what he's doing, or what she's doing, wherever's singing it, is they're letting you know what they're feeling. I'm in this mood. You don't say I'm in this mood.
Right.
You say I'm in this mood, because they're not understanding what it is, and they're associating it with their lover, who has the memory of their lover is bringing these sentiments out in them. So it's like acting.
Yeah. That's
acting.
That's actually a good way of thinking of it. I've never actually thought of it as like you're actually thinking of it as like you're saying it like you're an actor.
This is what I'm talking about. In where I am at in life now, I used to have to learn music and perform it because I was paid to do it, or as part of an ensemble. Now I get to do music that I relate to in my life right now, where I'm at in my life right now.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
That's where the psychology comes into it. The feeling inspired, healing a hurt from the past. We get to do music, and hopefully whoever's listening to it is feeling that too. So, music can communicate anger. It can communicate fear. I love music that communicates longing for a past love, wanting to have a new love, wanting to inspire someone. Bridge Over Troubled Water is a great inspirational song for people. That will affect people, I think, a lot more than an angry song, although angry songs are cool too. Take Me to Church.
Fair enough. All right, well, that's very insightful, and I like how you're connecting like lyrics, and you specifically said you almost want to say the words like you're an actor. You know what I mean? And it really comes across in the way you sing, because there's something I've noticed right off the rip when we first started working together is you're not someone who's going to try and like dazzle us with technique or like look at all the intervals I can sing. Mm-hmm. It's almost like an old-fashioned boxer. They just sit in there and they just look and they just knock you out with one punch. That. You're just an old-fashioned boxer.
My father thought I should be a boxer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I had this bone that protrudes here. That's what he used to say. Well, you know what it is I'm big on authenticity. I want to be authentic. I'm not a mic twirler.
Right. James Brown, get up there and dance.
Well, he was authentic.
He was authentic. He was himself.
Yeah, he was himself. But I'm talking about, if I'm going to do anything musically, I want it to come from my feelings first, my heart to your heart.
It's very, very impactful, And that's how, honestly, I feel like music should be. It's like the feeling that you're feeling, but you create these sounds. And, I don't know the psychology behind why a major chord makes us think happy and a minor chord makes us think sad, but we do know that there's definitely a connection there.
Oh, there's
right?
Yeah. Yes, there is.
And so as a musician, it's like you're looking for the right sounds and the right rhythms and just the right chords that create a specific mood, right? And that's what all I'm trying to do as a pianist. I think so little about theory sometimes it actually gets me in trouble when I'm arranging, because I'm more after the mood aspect. I go back in and rein the theory and rein the chords in later to make sure they're solid. But
that's why we have a good connection musically, because that's exactly how I am. Where I lack is paying attention to meter, which is rhythm. This is a quarter note. This is an eighth note. If you're working with like a conductor, they will stop you and tell them, "Oh, you can't hold that note. That was an eighth note, not a quarter note."
Yeah, but I feel like for us, I'm not so worried about that, because I want you to sing it like as if you were talking to me.
Yeah.
Granted, if you're like singing in a full choir, and like, okay, then yes, you have to change in time with everybody else. But, for a solo piece, you're like the quarterback. You're the show. You're going to be the thing that's heard most, right? So my goal whenever working with a singer is like, okay, what can I do in this arrangement that's going to help them the most? So where they let go. And that's a very specific thing I hear in a singer, when they finally let go of trying to be right and being them,
Yeah.
I've never heard you try to be right. I've always heard you be yourself. But there is a specific point of where I can hear a singer, or even like a horn player, it doesn't have to be a singer, to where they're not just, playing anymore. They've let go and they're just being them,
And I watch a lot of performances on YouTube. And I used to go to a lot of concerts. And to me, the ones that really communicated to me were the ones that seemed like, that's my phone.
That's okay.
The ones that communicated to me are the ones that really seemed to open up their heart and were vulnerable on stage.
Yeah, well, it's a really vulnerable feeling, and that connects with the audience,
Yeah.
It really connects. All right, so we've done about 23 minutes. So the last thing I kind of wanted to do here to wrap up was what's some things, if, someone's watching this and they've never sang before, maybe they're scared to sing, or maybe they're going to karaoke on Saturday or whatever's going on. What are some tips or tricks or whatever you would give somebody? Maybe five things that they could do.
5 things.
That they could
right off the
work
top
on.
of my head.
Sure, go for it. Maybe not 5 things, just, whatever.
Well, pick music that would sound good in your voice. There are songs that I like, but I wouldn't do. There's a song that I first heard Tom Jones do called I You Have Nothing. It's a very dramatic song. It just doesn't jive with my voice, with me. The second thing is sing a song that means something to you, that you want to convey to someone. That someone could be 3,000 miles away, but picture them in the karaoke bar sitting there and you're pouring it out to them. That's 2 you gave me, and there's like 3 more.
Oh, you don't have to do 3 more. I just
like you said, be yourself. Don't try to impress. Get out there, and the greatest communicators of song with just being themselves, I think.
I completely agree.
Yeah. That's about all I got.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you sitting down with us and talking. And for everyone watching here, In a Sentimental Mood will be out this weekend. If you're seeing this video, it's already probably out. So go take a look at it. And then also we recorded Body and Soul. Just type in Body and Soul featuring Nick Terranova onto your phone and you will find it. And also Moon Dance. So if you type in Moon Dance, FEAT.Nick Terranova, you will find it. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.